Hello, dear and precious ones. We are Judah. We are a collective of many countless angels. Yes, we are present. We are continually at work in the earth, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. We are active in the earth plane and in the heavens and in all dimensions of time and space, carrying out the wishes of the one infinite creator and the Elohim. And we are in perfected alignment with the wishes of the infinite creator, God, your Father, Mother, God. We serve and serve. And this is something beyond human comprehension. For in the human mind and understanding, generally, service is considered to be a function of the down and out, the poor, the disenfranchised, the uneducated, and so on. But this is not our way. Service is the highway, the highway, the highway. And we love to serve. And any true service to you is also service to the one infinite creator. And for us, service is effortless. It is never tiresome or burdensome. This is something else that you have difficulty understanding, that it is never a burden for us to respond to you, dear ones. Never, ever, 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 ever. Yes? For in the human mind, you may calculate, should I ask John to help me with this? Or should I ask Mary to help me with that? And you weigh in your mind, have I done enough things for John or for Mary that might make them willing to reciprocate to me, to assist me in the area in which I'm asking for their help? This is a human construct. We do not think in these terms. What we have to give you is inexhaustible. You see? There's no bottom to the blessing we can dispense upon you. We don't ever feel put out by your asking. You can't use up all your favors with us. Do you understand this? Try to grasp it and understand our infinite love for you. Now, who are we? We are 350,000 angelic souls who have lived 350,000 incarnations in various realms of time and space on the earth, and in many other unique and extravagant solar systems and planetary systems, star systems of which you are perhaps even unaware. And all together, we move and breathe and live and have our being in service to the one infinite creator. And this vessel, this human that you are looking at, she is one of us, one of the 350,000 of us. And when she channels in this state, she merges in with her family, her soul family, which is Judah, which is us. Yes? And together we operate and in our angelic state, similar to a swarm of birds. Have you ever seen a swarm of birds? And it might seem there are hundreds or even thousands of them, yet somehow, even though they are all individual, they move together in perfect unity. How is it that they do that? How do they know that they're turning to the right and then the left and then back again and so on? How do they move so synchronistically? They are of one mind. They have the same instinct and they are in flow together. This is how we are Judah. All of the souls within our collective, we operate as one, as one, as one, as one. And so you hear this meme, this phrase said so many, we are one, we are one. but yet you have very little to no experience of it, maybe a fleeting glimpse of a moment of it. But we live it, you see, this complete and perfect unity of purpose, our hearts beating together in service to you and to the Creator. And you see, there is no rub between those two things. We can be perfectly in service to the Creator and perfectly lovingly in service to you. And those things are in perfect harmony, you see. And so, understand that each of you has your own Judah. You have a soul family from which you emanate. You have an angelic family that you are evolving back towards and into. And the Christ said this, you are all children of God and you are angels. Yes? Now your translation says you are all sons of God and you are like the angels. But the literal translation is you are all children of God and you are angels. This is a pointing to Christ was prophesying that every human on the earth is in an evolutionary transformational process of becoming a Christ as he was, of becoming enlightened, of becoming angelic in your inner being, in your nature, becoming pure, evolving back into purity and peace and joy and high frequency that is beyond imagination. And enlightenment is only the first rung of the ladder of the experiences that you can have in this multiverse. And now, our overarching goal and message through this vessel is to reveal to you through example, through her example, and through many others who will also, through our message and the sound of our voice and her influence and ours, also become enlightened beings, to help you to know this in a real experience. We want to accelerate this. We are undoing the human mindset that there's only one Christ in a 2,000-year period, only one Buddha, only one Ramana Maharshi across the spans of centuries. No, there are going to be many, 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 many. Even some sitting in this room right now. Should you decide, that's me, I'm going along on that ride, then it is yours for the asking. Because you are fractals, pieces of God. You're perfectly imperfect. Wherever you are in your journey is perfect in this moment of time, and everything that is needed for you to make this beautiful journey is present. It is at your fingertips. Even your being here tonight is evidence that you have a destiny to be an angelic messenger on this earth, to live in high consciousness, fields of love, fields of peace, fields of high wisdom and counsel and joy, yes, and to make changes in the earth. Now, we are going to pass this evening to this vessel who has prepared in our presence understandings for you. We also give our honor and respect to her as a teacher. We know that it is necessary for her to speak as well, not just in a channeling state, because you can relate to her humanity. Yes? You relate to her humanity, and from it you can grow, and the bridge can be the gap can be bridged from where you are to where you want to be, fulfilling your divine potential, which is unique to you, And nothing that is said here, not just tonight, but any other time, is meant to become a doctrine or a defined and restrictive path for how you make your journey. No, it is only meant to say, to point, perhaps this, perhaps that, to give you things to consider, to bring you into awareness out of sleepiness, out of slumber, out of darkness, out of dark, devious methodologies and ideologies in this world that have been taught to you with the best of intentions, but out of unconsciousness and spiritual blindness. And this is why these things are shared for you, not to create a new religion, a new doctrine, a new whatever. We are not here to replace the old with some other new dogma. No, not at all. We are here to teach you, to show you that you are divine sovereign beings, created in the image of God, with infinite potential and possibility. And so our only desire is to awaken you to the truth of who you are and to support you in your desire to be who and what you are. You see, we would say that for each of you sitting here, some of you have had 0 moments in this life, in this incarnation, of being fully supported and upheld in being who you are. You have been told that you have to be more of something or less of something. And these are lies. And some of you have had moments of experiences in which you were fully able to be yourself, to love and accept yourself, and find yourself loved and accepted by some other person or persons. But those moments were fleeting. And in fact, you remember them very clearly just because they are so infrequent and unique. But we desire to change this, you see. And you will find with this vessel, there is a great grace upon her life that she will receive you fully with unconditional love and acceptance, no matter what you are presenting to her at any given time. And this is her great desire, and we honor this desire by giving her the grace to be true to the desire. Now, the topic tonight is one which can be very triggering for many of you. So we would say, hold on to your hat, open your heart, empty your mind. Open your heart, empty your mind, and if you feel triggered, then rejoice, because it is a point of awakening for you, and then it will be for you to decide what and if you wish to do about what you have heard. Yes? Good. Good, good. All right, let's begin. Everybody okay? All right, so each week, my process is early in the week, I start kind of meditating and asking Judah, what's important? What do people want to hear? What do we need to know as a family? What's our family business for the for the week? Did you guys ever have family meetings at your house? We used to have them occasionally. So I know we're headed into a really turbulent time with the election. And even for those who are listening who are not from America, I think that there'll be a lot of things said that you can apply to your life and your culture and the nation in which you live. So Judah has said things before to guide us in how we navigate our position and attitude and orientation in regards to politics. But this will be the first time that I really go really deep with this subject about the whys and the hows. So there is a season the next few months going into the election. There can be a lot of possible outcomes. There can be a lot of great things happen. There can also be a lot of difficult things happen. Unfortunately, because of the last election cycle, we have imprinted in our beings some fear, would you agree, about the potential outcomes. So let's just start by tagging and treating that, okay? So I want you to just hold in your inner being your memory of the past election and all the things that happened around it and after it. And just allow your feelings to come up about that. Because we want to neutralize that so that we're not anticipating or expecting it to happen again. Yeah? Okay, just like a young woman that grows up with an alcoholic husband, what does she do? She marries one. Okay, so this is the way our subconscious mind works. When we go through one experience, then we will tend to attract it again. We don't want that, right? All right, so holding in mind your feelings about the last election and all the things that happened before and after. And I would just ask if I may have permission to treat your subconscious mind. And Judah and superconscious, I ask you to please tag and treat all memories from the past election cycle, all hurt, all negativity, all judgment, all rancor, all division, all mocking, all violence. Tag and treat every memory. Neutralize the negative emotion around it. Judah, please treat and heal any parts or predispositions or patterned responses that we adapted in order to navigate the situation. And then please, Judah, find any positive aspects and reinforce those. And do a massive change history and everything after that. Good. So unless we are remarkably aware and diligent, this is like a hailstorm that we are headed into. We're going to be pelted with a lot of rancor, division, corruption, divisiveness, lies, mocking, finger pointing for the next few months. This will be a hailstorm, a spiritual hailstorm. So my personal decision in this is to go inside and stay out of the storm. So I literally will not be watching any news at all. I trust my intuition and my guidance for my voting decision. As a matter of fact, most of you already know who you're voting for. Is that correct? So if you already know who you're voting for, why engage? It's kind of common sense, right? So why do we engage? So I will be separating myself from all of it because there's just no reason for me to personally, in my own heart and mind and my physical body, sustain damage from just being out in the difficulties. So now some of you are called to work in this environment, in the political environment. So you may make a different decision. Okay? So let's plan right now. We're going to plan tonight and do some spiritual work to prepare us for the next few months. This is our night to choose our center point, to become aware, to decide how we're going to hold ourselves in the eye of the storm, right? You know what the eye of the storm is, right? It rages all around you, but in the center, there is peace. So that's what I want to bless all of you through Judah with the ability to stay in perfect peace. Yeah, even as Christ was on the ship and the storm was raging all around and the disciples are bailing out the water, you know, trying to keep the ship afloat, and he's just sleeping through the whole thing. And they were mad, right? Some people are going to hear this message that I shared tonight and be offended at me that I'm not engaging the stuff. I'm literally going to lay my head down and take a nap through the next few months. I'm going to be at peace. And if I'm called upon, I will stand up like the Christ did and say, peace, be still. And you guys can do that as well. Peace, be still. So we will each have choices to make around action or inaction. And action will be appropriate for some of you, and you will be guided and supported by angels in your actions. And then others of you, your action will be inaction. And inaction is a valid action when it's made with awareness and decision. So why did I choose this title, Purple People Positivity? Purple People Positivity. And I actually had on a purple dress and I put it on, but I looked like a whale in it, so I took it off. So I'm wearing blue instead. But it's not to make a political statement. Purple people positivity, because red and blue makes purple. And once you've made purple by mixing the red and blue, you can unmix the colors. You can't go back to separateness. You can't go back to just being red and blue once you've mixed the red and blue together to be purple. And Judah is putting out the call tonight for positive purple people. So maybe your purple's a little more red, or maybe your purple's a little more blue than mine, but let's be purple. Purple is the goal for Judah. Who are these purple people? You guys are following me, right? Red, Republican, blue, Democrat. Who are these purple people? Purple people don't hold themselves separate from people on the other side. They don't hold themselves separate from people on the other side. They understand that neither the red team nor the blue team has all the answers. They just don't. And they have the humility to say, you know, I don't know. Things in this country aren't working. I don't know all the answers. Purple people understand that at the soul level, we are all one human family. One human family. Purple people understand that separateness and division keep the human family from joy and from peace and from contentment and from loving family and loving neighbors and loving communities. Purple people know that when the soul, that's your eternal aspect, the part of you that's divine, the part of you that existed before you were born in your mother's womb, and the part of you that will continue existing after your body, you drop the body, that part, your soul, has no affiliations with political parties, with religions, with cultural and religious traditions, with language, with norms. Yeah? And when your soul leaves your body, you will leave all that behind. NDEers, or near-death experiencers, they've taught us this. If you, how many of you follow near-death experience stories? Yeah. If you get into these stories, you find that when people get onto the other side, they suddenly realize, oh, what my pastor told me wasn't quite correct. Yeah. My father was a fundamentalist Baptist minister of the Jerry Falwell variety. And he believed that only Baptists really knew the truth. And only Baptists were really following the Christian faith as Christ would have it be. So, but NDEers, their experiences when they get on the other side are profound. And they show us that we don't necessarily know as much as we think we know. There are near-death experiencers who immediately have rapturous encounters with Jesus. And then there are others who have rapturous encounters with Buddha. And then I heard a young man, a near-death experiencer, not too long ago, who was agnostic when he died in a bike accident. He was very young. And when he crossed over, the trees and the plants and the earth began singing to him and embracing him. And he did not see a Christ figure or a Buddha. So we think we know, but we don't really know for sure, do we? In our ascension process, the soul experiences total unification of all things and the oneness of all souls. So purple people have that kind of eternal perspective, right? That we're all one human family. That we're all going to evolve back into a soul, a perfected soul state. And there's no such thing as Republican and Democrat in heaven. Purple people are adept at elevating their personal level of consciousness through prayer and meditation in the quantum field. And then praying for their human family from an elevated state of consciousness. And purple people are in the process of maturing their thought and emotional life and taking responsibility for their thoughts and emotions and taking responsibility for what they create with their thoughts and emotions. This is what purple people are, right? So spiritual maturity and emotional maturity are the same thing. They're the same thing. Yeah. So tonight we're going to talk about how to create the world that we want, and the country, specifically in America, for those of you Americans, to create the America that we want. How do we actually do that with all this insanity going on? We do it with attention, intention, prayer, and meditation. And I tell you, we live in such a beautiful time because there is literally scientific evidence that prayer and meditation literally changes physical matter and environment and circumstance and situations and relationships. We actually have evidence of this. We have scientific evidence about the quantum field. I don't know if you guys have seen the observer effect, but you can find it on YouTube. It's pretty commonly found. You know, scientists discovered that when they put electrons in a box, it would follow its natural pattern. But when it was watched, it would change the pattern. Yeah. So what you give attention to, what you watch, what you look at, you literally are transforming matter, and even to the subatomic level, to the level of electrons, you are literally changing things in the universe with your attention. And this is why I don't watch the news and television, because if I give my attention to that, I'm growing it. Now, in the 80s, there was a terrible earthquake in Mexico. I won't have all the details tonight, guys, but you can look them up if you're interested. There was a huge earthquake in Mexico City, and it's hundreds of people died, maybe more than 1,000, I don't remember. It was really tragic. So then many, many, many years later, they were having a day of remembrance. And during that day, everybody in Mexico City was doing earthquake drills in order to make sure they were prepared in the event that anything like this ever happened again. So they were doing things. They were doing the preparedness drills, and they were doing memorial services for the dead that had died decades before. Now, guess what happened? There was another earthquake, and another 100 people died that day. Now, people said, well, that's like voodoo or witchcraft. That's crazy. That's demonic. No, it's that everybody in the city was giving their attention to the thought of a potential earthquake and literally created one. Yeah. So what we give attention to is going to have a major impact on the election cycle. Okay, and we're also tonight, we're going to actually magnetize together and do some prayer and what I call an imagination meditation to create what we want for the election cycle. So what's the big deal, you might say? What's so wrong with being on the red team or the blue team? Because you know the other team is really off base about this and this and this, and they're really off base about that. And there's this injustice and that injustice and these people groups that are being hurt. Agreed. We all agree on that, right? And I'm not arguing with the truth of that. But remember the old adage, right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Israel and Palestine are example of this. An example of two nations, two people groups doing the same things that they've been doing for centuries with the same tragic results. So this part is just my personal opinion. We are in a deadlock in the two-party system, and it just does not work. And hearts are growing harder on both sides. On both sides, the hearts are growing stonier, colder, harder. Not now. I don't mean that about everybody. I'm just making kind of a broad statement. Imagine a two-legged stool. If you were trying to sit on a two-legged stool tonight, you wouldn't be able to sit on it, would you? It would topple over. And so this is the situation that we're in with this two-party system. Yeah, we need a third leg on the stool. It's not going to happen right now. And I don't know, that's something that we can dream about, right? And we can meditate and ask for. Jesus said it this way: a house divided against itself will not stand. So why else does it matter? Because from a spiritual perspective, all of our conditioned cultural affiliations are based on ego mind attachments. So to the degree that we are attached to our political party and our man is the degree to which we are still operating in ego and resisting being in our higher self, being our higher state. So one of the big things that we do in the Judah channel is we're constantly bringing awareness to ego tricks. Because the ego is not you. You are not the ego. The ego are the things that we've been taught and conditioned to do, think, believe, ways that we act, and so on, in order to get along in a challenging world that we live in. But it's not who we really are. Who we really are is who we were the moment we were birthed into the world and lay in our mother's arms, supple, content, nursing at the breast, peaceful, the sense of belonging and connectedness in the world. That's who we really are. So why do we talk about the ego? Because by doing it, we can distinguish, this is not me. This is not who I am. Oh, I'm aware. This is ego stuff. This is not the real me. So in making that distinction, then you become free. You have a free space to disassociate from it all and be your real self. Okay, so I want to tell an analogy here to help us understand this political game. And this is from Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., and it's a powerful metaphor, and it really helps. So I want you to imagine that you're at a football game, and there's a red team and a blue team, yeah? And maybe for whatever reason, maybe the red team or the blue team is your home team, yeah, from your city. And so you're there, and you're just having a good time and enjoying the game. Just enjoying the game. And the red team and the blue team play, and maybe your team wins and maybe they don't. But if your team doesn't win, it's not, the end of the world. You go out with your friends after the game, and you have dinner and a hamburger and have a beer and some laughs, and you go home. That's healthy, right? That's healthy. Okay, then have you ever met some like real ballers that are really committed to their team? So then there are people who are more attached, right, to their team. And if they go to the game and their team loses, guess what? They're upset. Maybe it messes up their day. But maybe they can still go out for a beer afterwards with somebody from the other side and relate with them. Yeah? And then there are people who would never, ever, ever, ever consort with someone from another team. As a matter of fact, in the United States, we've even had some football games that have turned violent. Yeah, it's not funny, but yeah, we've had that happen from time to time. So this is how we can be with these political parties. Yeah, so our ego can get really attached to them. Yeah, and then it becomes a part of our identity. This is who I am. I am this red team. I am this blue team. And it defines us. And that's when we go through this unbelievable disappointment when our team is not winning, and even can lead to violence because of the attachment is so strong. Yeah. So to be healthy is, okay, maybe you have a preference for this team or that. Yeah, but it's not going to ruin your life or destroy your sense of identity if your team doesn't win the game, right? All right. So imagine, this is my elementary teacher self coming out. So imagine this stick represents ego. I don't know if you guys can see there the blue and the red. Blue and the red. So imagine this is the ego. And so we've got this two-party system that operates almost nearly 100% in ego. Yeah, attached to this is how things should be. This is how life should be in this country. It should be this way, and there's no room for it to be any other way. And these two parties are based on these really radical extremes, more and more extremes. Yeah. The Buddha taught us that the middle way is the way, which is avoiding extremes, right? So the ego is always about, not just in the political system, but it's always about right and wrong, good and bad, male and female, yin and yang, what I want, what I don't want, what I want, what I don't want. Yeah? And this is an endless and vicious thing that the ego does to us. It's like a slave driver. Yeah, but you need more of that, and you need less of that, and you need more of that, and you need less of that. More of him, less of her. Yeah? And it keeps you in this wrangling of the mind where you're just never satisfied, and there's always this malcontent. So dualism is this good, bad, right, wrong, better, worse, what I want, what I don't want, all of that. That's called dualism. So you may have already picked up on this, but at the Judah channel, we are pretty much straight ahead non-dualist here. Dualism works off of or feeds off of labels, opinions, hardened belief systems. And politics and religion are two areas that are nearly 100% identified with ego mind attachment. Jesus was crucified by who? Do you guys know who he was crucified by? Who killed him?
Romans.
He was by the Romans. That was the political system. And also there was a second party involved. It was the Pharisees. So it took both the religious leaders of the day and the political leaders of the day to form an alliance to see him dead. Yeah, so especially be careful of when politics and religion form these alliances. Yeah, because that's where your Christ consciousness, the Christ consciousness in you and in all of us and in the people are crucified. So the ego operates on these past ways of tradition. This is how it needs to be. This is how it's been. And so one of the things we've been talking about here at the Judah channel is we think that we are free sovereign beings making conscious personal choices about how we live our life, but we're really fooled about that. You know, science is proving to us that 95% of our thoughts, feelings, actions, and decisions are based on subconscious memories in our unconscious mind. So when you choose a particular thing to eat or a particular thing to wear or a particular person to call, it's not that you're making an independent free will decision in that moment. It's that your history, every decision and every thought, impression you've ever had in your life leads you to make that choice. So this bears out in the political arena as well. 35% of U.S. parents say that it's very important to them that their children have the same or similar religious beliefs to their own. 35%. 16% of American families say it's important to them that their children have the same political beliefs. But listen to this. This is really eye-opening. 70% of white, born-again, evangelical parents say it is very important to them that their children have their religious and political beliefs. So, you know, I was one of those. I was one in that group. And it was really challenging for me when my kids, as they got older, began to reject the religious beliefs and political beliefs that we taught them. When my oldest daughter was in her early 20s, she made a decision to go to Peru and do a an ayahuasca thing and go to Machu Picchu and have this kind of all this spiritual experience. Today, I would be like, yeah, sign me up. I'll go with you. But back then, that was kind of scary for me because I had come from a Christian tradition where I was taught that if you did something like that, you might get possessed by demons, you know, and you shouldn't do drugs like that. It could be harmful. So it was kind of scary for us. But my husband and I, her father and my husband at the time, we talked about it and we said, we had actually even been taught that that was like witchcraft, the stuff she would be doing. So, you know what we decided? Well, she might be a witch, but she's our witch and we love her. Yeah? So, you know, we deep inside of us, this is where we got to get to, finding love, right? And becoming unclenched and allowing our children, trusting them as souls, as unique eternal souls that maybe have lived hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, trusting them to be guided rather than expecting them to follow our way. In 2019, there was a survey of 1,800 U.S. teens, and 8 out of 10 teens with Republican parents identified as Republican or Republican leaning, and 9 out of 10 teens with Democratic parents identified as Democratic. So what do we know? Our kids are not thinking for themselves. That's what it's telling us. They're not. They're not thinking for themselves. They're just becoming another version of us. On religious views, it's the same. 82% of Protestant parents, their teens are also Protestant. 81% of Catholic parents, their kids are Catholic. 86% of atheists and agnostics have agnostic and atheist kids. So what does this point to? We're not using our brain. We're not being conscious, free, thinking beings. We're not making our own choices. We're not being our divine selves. You know, I grew up in a hard right-wing family, and I married into a hard right-wing relationship with my partner. It was Bill O'Reilly every night. My dad had a No Obama sticker on his business, his place of business. And I remember, you know, it's probably been a decade or so ago now, that I started sneaking around listening to NPR on the way to work. And that was like a big departure for me. It was actually kind of scary. And I didn't want anybody in my family to know that I was doing this. But when I would do that, I would suddenly get a whole unique perspective on the world. And it began to really open me up. So if you're going to listen to the news, this would be my challenge to you. At the very least, split your time between the two outlets. If you're going to listen to 10 minutes of left, listen to 10 minutes of right. You know, and check yourself. Am I really thinking for myself about what I'm hearing? Am I swallowing what I'm hearing hook, line, and sinker? Am I willing to question not just the bad guys and the other? Am I willing to question my own party? Yeah? Okay. Are you guys okay? This is kind of hard stuff tonight. So, I didn't get an answer. I'm worried now. Did you want to share anything, sweetie? Uh-oh, here it comes.
Okay, so yes, what you say I believe is true. But it's also important to remember that our brain is a computer and we are programmed. We are born with a hard drive that tells our hearts to beat at 72 beats a minute, our blood pressure, blah, 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 all that stuff. And then, just like your computer, it has to get programs. So from 0 to age 7, and I know I've talked about this many, many times, we do not have an analytical mind. And we just download. So we download the way our parents behave. So if this was that we were programmed to be this way because hundreds of years ago it was hard to live to age 7. So what happens is a 5-year-old boy or 3-year-old boy sees his father putting a piece of wood into the fireplace and he gets his hand in too far and he goes like this. Now the little boy sees this, and so now he's programmed to be careful of fire, because if he doesn't get programmed that, when he gets near that fire, what's he want to do? Touch it. He wants to put his hand in it. So we get these programs to help us get to age 7. Then when we get to age 7, we have an analytical mind, and we can decide whether we want that program in or not. But up until that age, we don't have the choice of doing that. Now, if I tell a patient who's 30, if they get naked and stand on the desk on their head, they'll be healed. Their analytical mind will say, "Get me out of here," and they'll leave. If I tell a 5-year-old that, they will do that. They don't know any better because they don't have the analytical mind yet. So this was done on purpose. The problem is, and this is why a man that physically abused his wife was brought up in a family where the father abused the wife. How does a boy know how to be a man? By imprinting on his father, by watching his father. What does his father do? His father abuses the wife? That's what I'm going to do. And some of you may have seen pictures of where there's a duck walking behind a dog because the duck was brought up by that dog. So what does that duck think? It's a dog. And there's a story about a man who was told by his doctor that he had liver cancer and that he was going to die within 6 months. And he died within 6 months, and they did an autopsy, and he did not have liver cancer. But he believed his doctor because his doctor's supposed to be an expert. So his analytical mind let that into his unconscious mind, and his unconscious mind says, no, that's not right. No, if you program your computer 2 and 2 equals 8, your computer doesn't say anything. It'll give you 8. So this is what happens with our unconscious mind. So yes, now, should we not be programming kids about politics when they're 5 years old? But yes, most of them become whatever their parents were. Most of them are religion, whatever their parents, because they were programmed that way. And yes, you do get some that rebel, so it's not 100%. But so yes, so there is that piece that we're born that way, yes. And this is why parents should be very, very careful about their kids, what they say to them, and why not push them any religion at all, and then when they get a certain age, say, look, why don't you investigate all the religions, see which one you like. Why don't you investigate what the Democrats believe, what the Republicans believe, see what rings true for you. Better yet, let's don't have any labels. Let's just do away with labels. We don't need them. Yeah. Whenever we get labels, we automatically create better than. Republicans are better than Democrats. Americans are better than Russians. Men are better than women. Well, that one might be true. Well, actually, it's the opposite's true. Women are better. Let's face it. Women can create, we can't. But anyway, that's why you guys need to take over, okay? Women need to take over. You come from your heart much more than men. So anyway, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And a lot of good stuff in there. And it made me think, too, about Osho, who is an enlightened being. You guys may or may not know him. Chuck and I have a affiliation with him. But when he was raised, he was raised in India. And, of course, India has all the most ancient religions and very much steeped in religion, of course, and spiritualism. And when he was a little boy, he was raised by his grandparents, and his grandmother refused to allow anybody to introduce him to any sort of spiritual or religious thought at all. As a matter of fact, they had a local community of faith that they were involved in, but they would not allow him to go, even when he asked. And look what came of that. An enlightened being. Just probably the most revolutionary enlightened being of the century. That's just my personal opinion. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't help this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So also his father, they were like of the lower class in India, and they did not own a home. And the best thing you could possibly do as a man is save and scrunch and work 80 hours a week and get enough money to get a house. Then you go up in the status. And so his father did that. He worked and worked really hard and worked long hours and saved and finally got enough money to build a house. And of course he was in his late years of his life. So they build a house, and the house burns down before they move in.
Wow.
There's no insurance. That's it. That's it. So what did his father do? His father had a celebration that they hadn't moved in yet and nobody was hurt. Now that is a free man. That's a free man. There's nothing can touch that man.
It's such a beautiful story. So, you know, thinking about freedom, one of my favorite sayings in this line is, it takes a right wing and a left wing for an eagle to fly. Yeah. And if you think about, so the right and the left, we need one another, but we need to stop this separateness and we need to be whole again. Imagine if you had a stroke and you lost the use of half your body. Let's say the left half of your body. You lost the use of the left half of your body. Wouldn't your life be totally different? Or what if you lost the use of the right half of your body? You see, we are one nation, right? One nation under God. But if we continue on this demand of dualism, right, wrong, left, right, good, bad, then we are literally paralyzing half of our function. Yeah. One of the things that happens with, this is just from my perspective, from all the many, many people that I've talked to and experienced in this work, from political parties and religious affiliation, and I am including in that New Age affiliation, is that people can get a false sense of family. People are so hurting inside from not having been really, really loved, accepted, held, nurtured, nourished in their family of origin, that their ego, that in that fear-based, with those unmet needs, will attach to an identity, a political identity, a religious affiliation, and then those parties and or those religious communities become a false family or a surrogate family for them. I had a friend when I was still in the Christian church. Her son was a homosexual and married another young man, and she would not allow them to come home. She would allow her son to make brief visits, but not with his partner. One of my daughters has a very good friend who was also struggling some with her sexual identity when she was a teenager, and she was kicked out of the house as a very young teen. I think she was 15 or 16, and never allowed to come back. One of my personal pastors once, I remember distinctly him saying that if my children were living in sin, I would not allow them to sit at the table and eat with me. So, you know, there's nothing in the teachings of Christ or any other enlightened being that support this kind of behavior. But yet, aren't we adopting this kind of behavior in this really extreme political climate? I can't eat with you. I don't want to go home for Christmas because you're from that party and I'm from this party, and it's just going to be a big blow up. We've really let it kind of come to that, haven't we? You know, Jesus hung out with all kinds of very sordid characters. Yeah. And he was, you know, there was some scandal, and he took a lot of accusation and rebuke because of that. But who did he work with? He worked with hungry people. He worked with open-hearted people. And he made it a point to rebuke extremists. So how do we become these positive purple people? How do we shift? What are the options that are available right now for real transformation? I'm going to share some of these tonight, and we're actually going to engage it and actually do it. So first of all, this is from my perspective, embracing a brand new perspective of an inner truth that we are one human family. We are all children of God. We are one tribe, one race. Each one is held and supported by the earth, by nature, plants and animals, and the ground underneath our feet, and by our Creator. And this is what we all have in common. One nation, one family, one heart, one love. I recently met a spiritual leader, and he has a beautiful practice. I love it. If you want to adopt it, his practice is anybody he meets, he gives them a hug, and he says, never be the first one to let go. Hug, and don't be the first person to let go. And you know, so many of us just need a hug. Yeah, a nice long hug. So this new perspective, we're one human family. Second, then we've got to take that beyond meme status and actually live it as a reality in which all persons are welcome in our life. All persons are welcome. They are received as they are. They do not have to change or adapt themselves to be in our presence. We love them exactly as they are with no judgments. And we understand that each one is a mirror. Do you want to share anything about that?
Well, another piece of that is that there's a saying that if we'd been through what they've been through, we might be the exact same way.
Mm-hmm. And understanding, yes, that everyone that you interact with is literally doing the best they can with the package, the experience, the background, the cultural understanding, the resources that they've been given. They are literally doing their best. That is something that we all have in common. Yeah? And so everyone is a mirror. We're always mirroring for each other. So when I pull up at the curb and there's a homeless man there, that's me. He's me. I'm him. He's my brother. And so why don't we take time to look them in the eye and have a conversation? Because we're scared to be open-hearted. We're scared that we will give away the farm. That's my truth. Yeah. I'm scared if I open up my heart to them and have an exchange and a conversation, I'm going to be back in a few minutes with some food or this or that, or shoes. I saw a young woman with no shoes on her feet the other day, and I'm still kicking myself that I didn't go home and get one of the way too many pairs of shoes that I have and try to help her find a pair of shoes. So everyone is a mirror, right? Even if somebody's acting out. I had one of my children really just was determined to be the black sheep. He really liked that role. We all have those roles we play in our family, right? Some of us are the perfect child and the good student, and then some are the black sheep or whatever. And so he's just always been determined to play this role of the black sheep. And so I kept meditating and going inside and looking for, what is it in me? How can I create something different here? And I began to see, that's me. There's a part of me that just wants to say, fuck it to everybody. Fuck the rules. Fuck the rules. I mean, really, there's a part of me. And what I began to realize is that he's acting that way because I keep repressing the part of me that wants to be like him. The part of me that just wants to be a black sheep and just say, screw it to all the nonsense. So if I can own that truth about myself, then all of a sudden he starts shifting and changing. And he starts being more of his true self and dropping that role, that identity he has. But each one of us is mirroring one another. Okay, so one human family, one love, one heart, one human family, all children of God. But secondly, actually living it, bringing it into a lived reality, not judging others. Third, dropping the judgments and the labels, us, them, left, right, male, female, conservative, liberal. You're right, I'm wrong. He's lost, he's saved. He's educated, he's poor. The haves and the have-nots. Even in spirituality, yeah, we can do that to each other. Like, I can feel that sometimes. Oh, it's so amazing. And no, it's not. It's not that. It's not the I have and you don't have. It's that anything I have, you can have. Fourth, refusing the ridicule and the mocking. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy ridicule and mocking. Mocking the bad guy. You know, when Jesus was crucified, this is historically accurate that just days before, the people had been praising him and saying, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest, praise, praise, you're so wonderful, you're so wonderful, you're so wonderful, Lord Jesus. And then guess what? A few days later, they were saying, kill him, crucify him, and mocking him, making fun of him. So we have to be careful, like flattery is sneaky. And it doesn't take much for flattery to flip and be turned to mockery. So for me, I'm just not participating with that. Okay, vote your conscience. Yes, vote. Absolutely. Vote your conscience. Trust your inner being. Vote. But if you can, this is just my challenge, consider dropping your identification with parties. Okay? Vote for the man. But you don't have to take on all the ideology of the party. Drop the jade. Justify, argue, defend, explain. Stay in your power. Stay in your peace. You don't need to justify, argue, defend, or explain any political thing that's going on. Love people. Lead them through example, not by imposing your will. Stay in the moment. Now, together, as spiritual people who understand how to work in a quantum field and be creators, we really need to be careful to release our fears about the unknown in the next few months. The purest manifestations arise from darkness, the darkness of the mother's womb. Yeah. Releasing our attachments to a particular outcome. So let's just do that right now. So I want you to imagine your guy that you want to win. Okay? You got it? I wish we could say your gal, but there's not one.
What if we don't want either one of them?
Then that's fine. So you'll hear as we go, we're going to do a release technique. And we're going to release our resistance to both candidates. Because this is the hand we've been dealt. So we're going to release our resistance to it. Okay.
You could have added with the mirror, that was a great thing, it's looking in the mirror, everything's a mirror. You can't change the mirror. You change what's in the mirror by changing yourself.
Right. And so basically what we're reaping on the political stage are things that we aren't owning about our collective situation. Yeah? Okay. So if you feel led, what you do is just drop into your heart space, and I just want you to imagine, just choose one or the other candidate for now, and just focus on that one candidate. It can be either the one you do want or don't want, or perhaps you don't favor either. So hold their name, all your thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories about that person in your inner being. Can I let go of wanting and needing this person to be president? Can I let go of wanting and needing this person to be president? And just answer honestly from your inner being. Answer a yes or a no. Just let it be honest, not from your head, but from your heart. Can I let go of wanting and needing this person to be president? Could I let go of wanting and needing this person to be president? Could I let go of wanting and needing this person to be president? Can I let go of wanting and needing this person to not be president? Can I let go of wanting and needing this person to not be president? Can I let go of wanting and needing this person to be the president? Can I let go of wanting and needing them to not be the president? And could I allow this person to be the president? Could I allow that? And could I even welcome that? Could I welcome them being the president? And could I allow them to not be the president? Could I welcome them not being the president? Could I welcome that? Okay, good. And now switch and hold the other candidate in mind. Just allow all your thoughts and feelings about that candidate to come up. And again, could I allow that this person might be president? Could I let go of wanting and needing this person to not be the president? Could I let go of wanting and needing this person to be president? So what is this practice about? And I encourage you to pick this up anytime that you need to do it again. Can you sense, what does it feel like to you guys doing that? What comes up?
Struggle.
Struggle.
Confusion.
Confusion. Mm-hmm.
Blending, a blurring.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom from both of them.
Freedom from, yeah, so this little exercise is super powerful. It brings you freedom because it allows you to come to a place where you can let go of the outcome and that you can trust and release the outcome to angels, to source, to divinity, to the universal consciousness that is working everything together for our good, and beginning to then trust then. Yeah.
And there's another option too. You do not have to participate. If you believe you create your own reality, if you believe that, then you just go about creating your own reality, and it doesn't matter who becomes president. And if it does matter, then that person will become president. You create your own reality. Mm-hmm. And if you believe that, you just create your reality. Doesn't matter. Most of the time, if you ask somebody, okay, was a Republican or Democrat as the president in 2002? I don't know. If you ask somebody, can they tell the difference when there's a Republican or a Democrat normally? No, you can't really tell any difference. And they also, the part of the truth to that is that the president really doesn't run the country. The people with the money run the country. There was a story that supposedly, I don't know if this is completely true or not, that when George Bush Sr. was on his deathbed, he said that when he became president, the men in black came around to visit him. One of them pulled out a gun and said, "There's a bullet in this gun with your name on it if you don't do what we tell you to do." So they don't run the country. Yeah, and you can't really tell too much different one way or the other. Things go up and things go down. Things go up and things go down.
So this little activity, you can use it anytime to just help you come into a place of freedom in your inner being, of releasing the outcomes and your attachment to the outcome you want. And Lao Tzu is an enlightened master from the Confucius' era, and he was likely very influential in the life of the Buddha. He said, practice not doing and everything will fall into place. So letting things take their course, trusting in a divine plan, trusting your inner vision. Lead with your inner vision. Lead with your light. Trust in the natural influence that you have as a higher vibrational being. Trust that just you being, breathing in and out, being open-hearted in the world, that this has an influence on others, has an influence on the world, has an influence on your family, your partners, your city, your nation. Trust in that. Stay neutral as much as you can. Stay neutral and observe, yeah? When you are in a movie theater, if the movie is, whether it's a tragedy or a drama or a comedy, you just enjoy observing it, right? So this is the kind of stance we can take in the next few months. Just stay neutral, observe. Lao Tzu said that a master gives her loving attention or essence to others, but doesn't need to fix them or control them, right? So mind your attention. Think about where you put your attention. Remember the story about the earthquakes in Mexico. Know that where you place your attention over the next few months does make a difference, yeah? So for me, one practical thing that I recommend is just not watching any news or media, alternative news, any of that, no news at all, and just read the headlines only, not the text of articles. You can find out all you need to know about what's going on by reading the headline, and that's enough, yeah. That's just an idea you might want to try. Don't interact with the ego. Be mindful. If you see and hear all the polarized stuff going on, just don't interact with it. You know, ego just begets more ego. Fear begets fear. Anger begets more anger. And so to engage it is only going to expand it. It never shrinks it. And staying out of complex, ego-based discussions about things. Pray, 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 meditate. If you don't trust yourself to pray a specific, detailed for an outcome, if you don't trust yourself not to be attached to an outcome, just pray simple things like, your will be done. Yeah? May all beings shift happily now. I love that one. Maybe wear purple. Wear purple to remind yourself, I'm purple, I'm not red or blue, I'm purple. And vote. All right, let's spend some time magnetizing and just creating. So the way that we change things is by working things from the top down. And what I mean by that is you go into an altered state of consciousness where you are tapped in to your higher self, to source, to angels. You are in the quantum field. You are outside of time and space. You are elevated outside of the constructs of time and space. You are tapped into the reality of yourself as an eternal being with unlimited power and possibility. And you begin moving in that and creating what you want in your inner being through vision, through words, through vision, through attention. And we're going to actually do it together, okay? If you have not gotten into the Treats program yet, it's only $27 a month, and we do this kind of magnetization all the time, and it is life-changing. This month's, for June, it'll actually release tomorrow, is about how to change your beliefs about the world. If you believe that the world is a terrible place, that is how you will experience the world. If you believe that life supports you, then you will be supported by life. That's just the way it is. That is the truth of it. So we're going to do some magnetizing together. Here we go. So it's just creating the world that we want. Yeah? And if it feels right to you and you want to shout out something as we go along, feel free. But we're working this from the top down, so just dropping down into an alpha meditative state. What does that feel like? That feels like, you know how when you catch yourself daydreaming, you're staring out the window and you realize you just kind of trailed off somewhere? Like that. Or it feels like how you feel when you're just getting ready to fall asleep at night or just waking up in the morning. So just allow yourself to relax into this state. When you're in this alpha state, brainwave state, that is the state in which you are very creative and you begin to lose your tethering to this space and time. You begin to, your mind gets quiet and gets relaxed, and you enter more into a spirit or soul state. Okay. All right. So Judah, we ask you to join us now and fill up this room again afresh and anew with your presence. And we just give thanks for all the beautiful angels here in this room, and we ask for your guidance as we begin to magnetize and dream about the nation, the city, the neighborhoods, the country, the world that we want to live in. We ask for divine inspiration, and we ask that you would empower our words, our attention, our intention during this time to create a better world, to create the world of our desire. So we drop right now all of our judgments, all of our experiences, all of our thoughts about our political system. We lay them aside completely. We let them go. We drop them. We drop our expectations and demands about the outcome, about the outcomes. We let that go into the hands of Source and angels. We thank you, beautiful, holy angels. You are so powerful. We thank you, Archangel Michael, Raphael, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Metatron. We thank you. We ask for your intervention and your influence on our election cycle, not just in America, but all over the world, that you would intervene in governments. We ask for world leaders. Yes, we want to live in a world where world leaders are experiencing the presence and visitation of angels, where world leaders are experiencing divine wisdom and insight and revelation. And may our world leaders even have angels on their left and on their right, in front of them and behind them. And may the hearts of leaders in this world begin to melt. Their stony, hard hearts begin to melt, 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 melt. May their hearts begin to open. May they begin to feel vulnerable again. May their ears be unplugged. May they hear the cries of desperation, hear the cries of the people they serve. May they drop their self-serving ways. May they suddenly now find themselves in a radical change of heart, even humility, even humiliated and humbled and willing now to listen, willing to learn, willing to listen to their people, willing to join, seeing themselves in the eyes of their people, looking in the eyes of the people who are hurting, looking in the eyes of the people who are poor, who are destitute, who are depressed, who are overworked, who are overwrought, who are discouraged, looking in their eyes and seeing themselves in their eyes, and then feeling compassion and being changed in their inner being and having a drive and a drive inside of them that cannot be quieted to change the way they're doing things, to change the world, to change the places and people and things they've been given authority over. May the leaders in this world have a change of heart. May their hearts be softened. May their hearts be softened. May they even melt like candle wax. And even those who are in positions of world leadership, and even tonight, may they yes, some of them even awaken to, oh, I'm in the wrong place. I should not be in this position. I'm going to pass this office over to another one who is wiser, who is more loving, more astute, more caring, more compassionate, more empathic, more skilled. And so even tonight, yes, may there be an exchange of world leaders stepping down and new leaders coming up. World leaders stepping down and new ones coming up. All over the world, the unjust, the unrighteous, the unloving, the unconscious, stepping down, stepping down, stepping down, stepping down, stepping down, stepping down, even turning over the keys to their office. And now loving servant shepherds coming into places of authority and power, who will not abuse power, who will love. Good, 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 good. And angels moving circumstances, changing situations, changing environments, bringing in high frequencies, moving out the wrong people, putting in the right people, bringing love, bringing love, bringing love, and humility, and change, and grace. Yes, 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 yes. People who respect the planet, people who love children and support children, people who support the needy, the oppressed, people who elevate, people who elevate, people who elevate. Yes, yes, yes. New leaders who elevate. New leaders who elevate and relate. All over the world, in every nation, let it be so. Let it be so. Let all the world leaders come together in harmony, in peace, in willingness to negotiate, willingness to rethink problems like poverty and environment. In ways in which we are damaging the earth. Good. One human family. One human family. And many people awakening to pray, and many people awakening to meditate, and willing, prayer warriors who are willing not to demand from God or from life or from demand what they want, but instead receiving the highest good for all, the highest good for all. Prayers of humility, prayers of willingness, prayers of openness, prayers of power, prayers that change things, prayers that move things, prayers that create new realities, prayers that create societies of peace, of camaraderie, of cooperation, of belonging, of acceptance. Yes. Do you guys have anything you want to add? May all beings shift happily now. All beings everywhere. All beings in every nation, every city, every town. All beings, young and old, healthy, diseased, all beings shifting happily now. Shifting, 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 shifting. Waking up, waking up, waking up. Good. And may there be mercy, 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 mercy. We cry out to all the angels and archangels and all of our beautiful interstellar guides from races that are more advanced and more conscious than we are. We ask that you would give us mercy, give us what we don't deserve, give us an acceleration, an expansion. Let us evolve into our potential. We welcome any and all circumstances, whether we perceive them as wanted or unwanted. We welcome any and all circumstances that can work towards our expansion, towards the growth, towards our unity, towards our wholeness, towards our perfected and enlightened state. Good. Good. Anybody want to add anything to that?